Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the zoo. The minions with me this evening are Camel.
Good evening.
And Adam.
Hello.
We may or may not get joined by Inquisitor randomly, but how are you guys doing? Oh, and of course, as it's a Friday, once again, I'm the keeper for the evening, Sanguine. How are you guys doing this evening?
Doing all right. How about you, Adam?
I'm doing all right.
That's good to hear.
And how about you, Sanguine? How are you?
Sanguine? Yeah, I
I'm
didn't know we
doing-
were doing a roundabout here.
Yeah. Camel was able to direct that rather efficiently. But I'm doing rather grand. I'm just finishing up the last of my dinner and having an absolutely fantastic beer. It's the first time that I've had this one. It is a sour blonde ale from Rogue Brewery, and it is Côte de Rogue. Highly recommend it. Nice funkiness to the beer. And it's the right type of funk.
I was never a connoisseur, so just drank whatever was cheap on tap.
Fair enough. Then you will probably end up shying away from this. It's a decent sized bottle, but it was about as much as a cheap 6-pack.
Well, are you enjoying this brew alongside a dinner?
Oh yeah, I'm having that beer with a dinner of shrimp scampi because what I was originally intending to make hadn't quite defrosted. I'm getting hit by a fair amount of snow the past few days, so rather than
Oh, right. Oh, shit, yeah.
go buy groceries, I instead just pulled from my freezer. And some of the meat hasn't quite defrosted in the time that I was hoping it would, so that's
Now-
now going to be used for the rest of the week.
Is it still snowing and stuff, or like did you already just already got hit and it was a lot?
So between, I want to say it was Tuesday night and Friday morning.
So
When
Tuesday night
I
and this
was-
morning.
Yep, and this morning we were supposed to get about 3 feet.
You.
Yeah, it was supposed to be like 2.5 to 3 feet. Now, whether we got that, I'm not 100% sure. I just know that when I was looking at that, I went, fuck going to the grocery store. I'm not dealing with this shit. So I planned ahead.
Cool. I know, like beginning of the week, it was like 70 degrees. It felt good. Like the wind wasn't blowing or nothing like that. Just nice, comfortable temperature, plenty of sunlight. It was great. And then around the time you got your snow, we got rain, and it just went from like, high 60s, low 70s to, just above freezing, 40 degrees range.
Did you see the blizzard in California?
Oh, yeah, I heard that there was snow in California cities.
Yeah.
I've been unplugged. I did not hear about that. But I mean, like we're talking Northern California, or the mountains.
Oh no, it reached fairly deep. I was actually watching a streamer last night who was having a moan about it. And she was self-aware because she was going, I know that there are other parts of the country that get hit by snow and get hit by a lot of snow. So me complaining about like 1/10 of an inch of snow isn't going to phase you guys, but come on, I live in fucking Central California. Why the fuck is there snow?
I mean, like here, it's got to be at least a couple inches before I want to hear anybody complaining about it. And that's still, I mean, you guys would just chuckle at that.
Yeah.
But like, my worry is ice.
Ice is an absolute bitch. And the thing that I always point out when someone is giving someone else shit, when they're a southern state and, oh yeah, they're freaking out about an inch of snow. Yeah, they don't have the road prep that we do. They don't have.
There's also
the
plenty of
plows.
idiots too.
Oh yeah, there's idiots fucking everywhere though.
Yeah.
The difference is though that
We're just compounding it now with weather.
yeah, when you have Minnesota, Illinois, anywhere northern Midwest, you get hit by a fuck ton of snow and it doesn't shut down a goddamn thing because you have hordes of plow trucks and salt trucks and road treatment trucks. So they hear that snow is coming, they start treating the roads early. They treat them, which reduces the amount of ice. Then you have your plow trucks go through, clear out the road. You have your salt trucks come through, make sure that everything stays clear.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. But when you're talking about Virginia, yeah, they have some plow trucks. They have a number of salt trucks.
I appreciate Cynic putting in Fahrenheit in chat. I know he's an Aussie and he could have fucked me up with Celsius, but I do appreciate that, man. Thank you. And yeah, that's summertime weather. That's above that right there. I'd say it starts to be getting hot.
There's a reason for that. Do you know what season it is in Australia?
Yeah, it's summer.
Yeah.
I was agreeing like that. That's I could do 84. That sounds comfortable enough. You can be comfortable in that type of weather. My perfect range though, high 60s, low 70s. That's perfect to me right there.
Absolute ceiling of my perfect range is about 72.
Yeah. That's about my ceiling too.
And then
you
the floor,
you make it sound like like I'm crazy or something.
And then the floor is deep negatives.
No, man, the floor is I'll say mid 60s.
I'm perfectly fine down to deep negatives.
I mean, I can survive in that. I'll layer up. Just not gonna be happy about having to, like when I'm indoors, I don't want to have to wear that much clothing, man. Jeans and a t-shirt. You can't do that in the negatives.
Bullshit.
You're a freak of nature. We've established this.
I haven't had my balcony door closed since it dipped below freezing.
I mean, like I said, freak of nature. Okay, good for you. I'm sure with that vocabulary of yours, you are familiar with the term outlier, Sanguine.
Yes.
All right.
I agree with
us
Camel.
normal people.
Yeah, it's one thing being outside.
We're operating in a different zone.
Yeah, but when you're inside, you don't really want to be layered up. It's not comfortable. I mean, I guess for some people it's comfortable.
I don't want to have to walk around like the Michelin Man. That's all.
Yeah.
I'm not layered up. I'm wearing a pair of pajama bottoms and a pair of socks and a nice pair of
there's
slippers.
like always there's like one of you freaks out of like every 100,000. Okay, I've met people like you. You're few and far between. At least down here.
Yep. Yeah, that's why.
But yeah, there's always that one asshole that wants to go to school in the middle of December in like basketball shorts and a t-shirt.
Mm-hmm. The thing that I find hilarious is I was never the basketball shorts, and then there's a very strange thing that Adam has probably seen many, many times. Camel, you might have seen the person who wears basketball shorts and then will have a winter coat on their top half.
Oh yeah. Usually it's girls in skirts. It's like they're wearing a skirt and they've got.
I am not going to complain about the girls who decide to sacrifice their legs for the sake of a skirt. I enjoy skirts.
Well,
but
I was saying like the most people that I see are usually women, but there are like those. There's a few dudes that you'll see is like he's got like a jacket, a coat, a hoodie, and his shorts. Like it's below freezing, dude. You couldn't have put on like some windbreakers, like coming from the gym or something.
Yeah. Whereas for me, I will always have long pants on when it comes to winter, but absolutely, I'll walk around in a short sleeve shirt.
Yeah, see, Johnny's one of those assholes. It's like shorts are that's summertime clothing, man. Let's get everything straight.
Yeah, I tend to wear long pants just because they're convenient.
Decorum.
And also, I'm one of those people that if I'm wearing shorts, I want to wear sandals.
I'm just waiting for Johnny to put the hashtag in chat. We haven't used it in a while.
Whereas if I'm wearing shoes or boots, I'm wearing long pants because I'm not a fucking animal. So I wear long pants and boots in winter, but I'll wear a t-shirt and be perfectly fine. I'll wear shorts and sandals and a t-shirt in summer because, again, that's how it works. Sandals go with shorts.
Well, explain that to Johnny, Assassin. He's the one walking around with a hoodie and shorts in the cold.
The only time that I need more is if I'm spending an appreciable amount of time outside, and then I'll toss on a windbreaker at the minimum.
Hey, I don't mind wearing shorts and a hoodie outside in the cold. I will say recently I had to go to pants, but usually it's more comfortable with shorts.
And Cannibalistic Wizard, I absolutely understand that. My feet will fucking freeze. But my legs don't get cold. My torso doesn't get cold. My upper arms don't get cold. My fingers, I'm almost positive the only reason that my fingers get cold is because I wear rings and those sap the fucking heat out of me. But yeah, it's if I'm wearing boots or shoes, I'm wearing long pants. And I'm always going to be wearing boots or shoes in winter. And looks like we are joined by a wandering Inquisitor. How are you doing, Inquisitor?
What's poppin', buddy boys?
Not much, just bullshitting about winter weather at the moment.
Ah,
I was hit by a decent amount of snow over the past few days.
Yeah, how about you Chicagoans? I imagine you guys have been getting some weather as well.
it's mostly just been fluctuating up and down, but we're getting snow right now.
Wait,
you guys getting what I got hit with then?
Say at least it was a little bit. When I went out on the dock earlier today, it had snow on it. So,
I mean, I think when the storm front came in, we got some like ice rain for the most part. But
that's
yeah, we did
fucking worse.
Yeah.
well, yeah, especially considering it fucked up the infrastructure. Like half of the houses had lights out when I was driving home.
A lot of power outages too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it freezes
Or
on the
brownouts too.
Yeah.
It freezes on the power lines and then causes them to snap.
That and pulls trees down near power lines.
Yeah, that too. Yep.
I
saw.
I'm not worried about. I live in a pretty good spot. Knock on wood. I don't have to worry about tornadoes and such. We get thunderstorms. Wind gusts can get pretty high. Snow, not really. Not much.
Mm-hmm.
But it's once every year ish. It might freezing rain just will fuck something up somewhere.
Mm-hmm. So I got a question for the panel here, and it might be good to get some completely impartial views, although this may affect Sanguine.
Okay.
Okay, the way Warhammer is played, okay, is you have several different phases by which things happen. You know, an example, the movement phase. You move all of your models on your turn in your movement phase. Okay?
Mhm.
All right. So there's one thing that you can do in your movement phase. In lieu of shooting in the next phase, you can instead choose to do what's called an advance move, where you move your movement and then you roll a d6 and add that to your movement, and you get that much extra movement.
Okay.
Okay?
So it's
And
like a
there's
D&D run.
yeah, a little bit, yeah. And say run is, you know, for the sake of your action, you get to double your movement speed. It's that only with a variable. Okay, and then you have what is called the charge phase, where you can charge into close combat and punch people in the face. Right. The
Mhm.
standardized set for charging is 2d6. So regardless of any other factors, movement, anything like that, to charge, you need to roll 2d6, and that's how many inches that you can move. And if you can get within 1 inch of the enemy with 2d6, you are effectively then now in close combat with them. And then you can resolve your fight, right?
Mhm.
Okay. The White Scars Space Marines in particular have an ability, a psychic power for their psychers, space wizards, right? Called Blasting Gale. Now, what it does is you target an enemy unit within 18 inches of you, and that unit cannot advance, period. So that option is completely gone. And whenever you decide to charge, you roll 1 die less.
Okay.
Okay? Now, there are a whole bunch of armies that have armies and units in particular. More commonly, it's going to be a unit thing rather than an army-wide thing. But there are units and/or armies that have a thing where they say that your movement, your advance, and your charge cannot be modified. Now, the precedent set, at least in the rule book, is that modifications come into things like, I don't know, like a Tanglefoot grenade, where you get -2 on your movement when you charge. Okay? Usually it comes down to additions and subtractions to the core number rather than a removal of a whole die like Blasting Gale does.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, if you have an army or unit that has the I cannot have my roll modified, do you think that the -1 die on the, again, standard 2d6 charge should apply to the unit and or army that has the I cannot be modified?
I would say that if it does apply, then the I can't be modified needs to be changed to can't be modified by a standard integer. So can't be modified by a -1, a +2, whatever.
Well, see, that's part of it. Here, let me pull up the Waha core rules. The reason why this is in debate, okay, is because in the core rules for modifications, let's just go here, modification. Okay, here we go. This is what it specifically says in modifications, right?
Mm-hmm.
In order to fight a battle, you require some 6-sided dice, often abbreviated to D6. Some rules refer to 2d6, 3d6, so on, so on. In such cases, you roll that many d6s and add the dice results together. If a rule requires you to roll a d3, roll a d6 and half the value, round up. If the rule requires a d6 roll of, example, 3 or more, it is often abbreviated to 3+. All modifiers, if any, to a dice roll are cumulative, you must apply all division modifiers before applying all multiplication modifiers, and before applying all addition modifiers and all subtraction modifiers. So, DMAS, right? Typical math, DMAS,
Yeah.
right? Division, multiplication, addition, subtraction.
Well, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally.
Yeah, exactly, DMAS. A dice roll can be modified above its maximum possible value. For example, a d6 roll can be modified above a 6, but it can never be modified below a 1. If after all modifiers have been applied, a dice roll would be less than 1, that count results as a 1. So that is the only thing that it says about modifiers in the core rules. It does not say anything about the amount of dice you roll, only division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction of the, it's essentially like attacking on an integer that is to then modify the roll. But it doesn't say anything about the number of dice rolled, if that makes sense. And that's really what it comes down to, is that does modification of number of dice count as a modification? Because it's a gray area. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because
No, I have no fucking clue what's going on here.
there's one line of logic where a modification is something that takes place after the roll.
Mm-hmm.
And if a modification takes place after the roll, something that modifies how many dice you roll is a pre-roll modification. Therefore, it is not counted as a modification. It just changes the base number of die that you're rolling. There's another line of logic that's going, no, that's modifying the number of dice, therefore it's a modification. And because this forbids any modification, it forbids pre-roll modifications, peri-roll modifications, and post-roll modifications. So,
okay, so here's maybe some additional rules that might help clarify then about where exactly the modification comes in.
Yep.
Re-rolls. Some rules allow you to re-roll a dice roll. That means if you get to roll some or all of the dice again. If a rule allows you to re-roll a dice roll that was made by adding several dice together, 2d6, 3d6, etc., then unless otherwise stated, you must re-roll all of those dice again. If the rule allows you to re-roll a specific dice results, only those dice can be re-rolled. If a rule allows you to re-roll re-roll a specific dice result, but the result is obtained by having a d6, such as when rolling a d3, you use the value of the halved roll to determine if it can be re-rolled, not the value of the original d6. For example, if a rule states re-roll results of 1, you can roll a d3, and you would be re-rolled if the d6 were rolled on a 1 or a 2. Which is then again halved as a d3 is a value of 1.
yep.
You can never re-roll a dice more than once, and re-rolls happen before any modifiers, if any, are applied. Results that refer to the value of an unmodified dice roll are referred to the dice result after any re-rolls, but before any modifiers are applied.
So with that,
Was this game made by lawyers? What's going on here?
No, it's D&D and tabletop.
I'm
war
sure if I
games
actually
and
read
shit
it,
like
it'd probably
that.
make more sense to me. But
Yeah.
having it explained
Yeah.
to me verbally like this, I'm completely lost.
Sure.
It's just a more intensive fantasy football.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't play fantasy football either, man.
Okay. Yeah. If you've done any fantasy league shit, you're doing nerd shit. You're just doing disguised nerd shit.
Yeah, it's nerd shit, just with a veneer of
I
jock
didn't
shit.
even like the movie Moneyball, man. There was too much math in that shit for me. No.
Money plane.
But for the way that
No,
are you talking about
was
the
a good movie.
Rumble?
Huh?
The Rumble.
Darius Grouch the Third, the Rumble.
Your name is Grouch. That's your nickname. It's not the Rumble. It's the Grouch. Come on.
It should be, but nah. Darius
Anyway.
Grouch the Third, the Rumble.
Anyway, so yeah, it does say, at least in the reroll part, that all modifiers are applied after the reroll.
Yeah, so with that, it sounds like modifications are only counting post-roll modifications, not pre and parry.
Congratulations, Quiz. You have you got Rotten going back to picking up and putting down heavy things.
If you're only counting the post-roll modifications, then the decrease in the dice pool is not a modification because it is a pre-roll change rather than a post-roll mod.
Mhm.
But it still requires cleaner verbiage because with the current wording, it does allow that. Okay, what the fuck is this designated as?
Well, yeah. See, that's again the reason why it's up for debate. I've been trying to be as objective about this as possible because it does apply. You know, this sequence of events does apply to both me, to SCP, and to you, Sanguine.
Yep.
Because one of the armies I play is going to be White Scars. I do have the start of a White Scar army, so I do have that spell that I can use when I play that army. And SCP plays Tyranids. One of the things that the Tyranids get as a result of the adaptive physiology that you can get for the Tyranids is what's called Unstoppable Swarm. And Unstoppable Swarm says movement, advance, and charge rolls cannot be modified. And all of the leagues of Votann have a rule that say that charge rolls cannot be modified. So it applies, you know, in multiple ways. And like I said, I'm trying to be as objective as possible here. I'm not arguing in one way or the other. I'm just saying how everything goes out. I mean, it's pretty much a given at this point that even with the adaptive physiology saying that advance rolls cannot be modified, the fact that the spell states that you just cannot advance, period, means that that's not a modification. That's just flat out denial of a rule. So that's not in question. It's the -1 dice on the charge.
Yeah, which the way that it should, if they wanted to clear it up and they wanted it to be two entirely separate things, then they should have it be additions and subtractions to the dice pool versus
dice pool. Yeah, and see that's the problem is that like there's not a whole lot of rules that say that you roll one die less. You know what I mean? It's almost always, you know, -1, -2, you know, +1, +2. It's never going to be -1 die.
Yep. Which
and it
creates a problem, but
it's also a weird thing too because the White Scars are actually their rules are a holdover from 8th edition. So we're talking about, you know, standardized rules for 9th edition, but we're using 8th edition's rules here.
I'm on whichever side is looking for the loopholes.
Well, that would be that it doesn't count then, would be the loophole would be that it does count as a modification, which then allows people to ignore that penalty.
Yeah. And see, that's the thing too, is that like I've gone and I've posed this question on a lot of Discord servers, a lot of Warhammer Discord servers, and I've gotten mixed results. The Tabletop Simulator server has come right out and said, no, it does not count as a modification. You know, if you have ignoring those rules, the modification rules, the spell still applies. But then I have another server where it's mostly like the people in there are for like painting, the painting side of the hobby, not really, you know, the playing the game part. But one guy just flat out said, no, rules is written says that the spell does not apply, or, you know, would not apply. But he didn't give any quantification or qualification to his statement. He didn't try to cite any precedent or any rule. He just said, no, it doesn't apply.
Yep.
So it was all like, you're a little bit less trustworthy there. Like one of the things I'm looking for is I'm looking for like tournament organizers, how they came down on this rule. But I can't seem to find that. I can't find that online, which is why it's a question, you know?
Yeah. And again, it's all due to the vagueness of the verbiage. Because if they had it be a reduction of dice pool or something along those lines when it comes to the verbiage, and they made it clear that mods are a post-roll modification, then dice pool is pre-roll modification, which means that it wouldn't count.
Well, see, the major problem...
How I would end up erring if I were making the decision, that it would be...
The major problem with also applying the whole post-roll modification idea is that there's a certain sort of sequence of events where something like that actually wouldn't take place. An example, right? Say you have a ballistic skill of 3+, okay? Mm-hmm. And you are near another unit that gives you reroll 1s, okay? But your opponent has applied a -1 to hit penalty. Technically speaking, you only hit on 4s, right? Mm-hmm. Or no, okay, no, sorry, okay, no, that's wrong. Let me put it this way. All right. No, God, okay, it's hard to explain. Because it's very specific in its application. Okay, so you say you've got a unit instead that has a 2+ ballistic skill. Okay, they hit on 2+. The only time they'll miss is on a 1. And you've got a reroll of 1s nearby as well. So you not only hit on 2s, but you reroll all your 1s. And your opponent gives you a -1 to hit. Okay, so that way now it says that you're hitting on 3s.
Yep.
No, wait, sorry, that still wouldn't apply. Fuck.
Yeah, it still wouldn't work because that would still allow for it to be a pre versus parry pre versus post, because what it is that you're looking at the parry roll, which is the roll as is determining whether you re-roll,
but it does.
Adding the modification after.
It does though. Like no, the modification does determine your reroll. I'm trying to find like okay, so instead of saying you reroll 1s, it does. Yes. See, okay, so like say you have an ability that says you get to reroll all fail rolls to hit, okay, rather than just 1s. And see, this is a problem because like this is the a thing that was a thing in 8th, but is no longer a thing in 9th. They've really kind of like pared that back, so it is only just reroll 1s, not reroll all fails. But it says that in particular, all failed rolls to hit whenever that rule applies. So then what that means is that even though you would roll something and it would normally be a hit, but with a -1, it is now no longer a hit, that does not get to reroll.
Yeah, because then that would be the final determination, because the hit is determined after all mods are assigned, whereas a reroll 1 is determined by, is it 1 pip facing up at the end of the roll?
Well,
if it's 1 pip facing up at the end of the roll, you get to re-roll it.
What I mean by that is like, okay, so say you've got a ballistic skill 3+, you've got an aura nearby that lets you re-roll all fail rolls to hit. You get a -1, so now your target roll is a 4, right?
Yep.
You get to re-roll, or you all 4+ hit. You get to re-roll all 1s and 2s, but 3s automatically fail. You have to take them out.
Can I just jump in here real quick?
Yep.
Sure.
Adam, how you doing, man?
Trying to navigate away from math as quickly as he can.
No, I think I've been pretty slow about it, but yeah. Just wondering if we lost Adam.
I'm doing all right. I'm enjoying listening to the conversation. I'm not ready to do math at the moment. But I will say,
I'm never ready to do math.
well, no, it's never been a strong point for me.
See, it's never been a strong point for me either, which is ironic because I really like animation, and you have to do math when you animate, and then I do Warhammer, and you have to do math when you play Warhammer. So it's like I was never good.
Chat. He says Camel's too sober for so much math. You would be incorrect, sir.
Also,
I am not sober enough to keep up with this shit.
And TTRPGs require math.
Yeah.
Yeah, this would be something I'd have to take like visual cues from. I can't just be sitting here listening to you guys going back and forth with all these numbers flying past my head.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to read it.
I get it.
So,
like I said,
there's a lot of legalese involved in this game.
There is.
So,
there's a term for it, Camel. I mean, they're called rule lawyers for a reason.
And everyone hates a rule lawyer that argues over bullshit, but they love a rule lawyer that argues for them.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing is like,
I'm for the side looking for the loopholes, man.
I'm okay with like.
It's also a great reason to read the Constitution and the Bible.
I'm okay with like with rule lawyering just in general because it it's a debate, right? You can sit there and figure out which one things are, but at the end of the day, you really do need arbitration. You need someone to come out and sit there and say, okay, we can sit there and argue about this in favor of one side or the other, but we need a ruling to get the game to progress here.
Yep. That's the thing. Like I said, people love rule lawyering when it works in their favor. They hate rule lawyering when it's preventing them from fucking killing this bastard that hit him in the face with a mace.
Yes.
Well, like, I want to talk about something else. So it's a slow night at work tonight, Quiz?
A little bit. I still have some stuff to do, but not too terribly much. I'm just dreading going outside. I don't want to go outside.
Yeah.
How cold is it there for you?
24 degrees.
Yeah, that's
not bad.
Excuse me.
It's bad enough when you have to drive a fucking open air vehicle.
True, if it's an open air vehicle, that is a bitch. Wind cuts through me.
Yep.
Yes.
I was going to ask you like what the wind's at, because that's 24 can be tolerable down here if the wind's not blowing.
Well, remember where I live.
That's why I was asking what the wind is.
The windy city.
I didn't say there being no wind.
Yeah. You gotta remember where I live here, man. There's no chance that there's not wind here.
Like you were just rule lawyering all that bullshit. You couldn't parse what I was saying. Like
to be honest, the wind is really what the. I mean,
what
cold is. You
gave us a temperature. What's the wind at?
I don't know. I'm not a fucking meteorologist.
I was asking Quiz.
I was like, I don't know. All I've got is like the thing in front of me that says 24 degrees cloudy.
Says wind's cold.
4 miles an hour. 4 miles an hour in the westwardly direction.
That's not terrible.
Why did that just remind me of the weather rock?
Oh, okay.
I have one of those as a joke.
Hey, you know what? Though? I will say, it was windy and cold, but it's nothing like Rapid City, South Dakota. Holy shit!
I have one of those novelty weather rocks. It's hilarious to me.
Wait, weather rock? You got a weather rock? What's a weather rock?
Yeah.
Have you not ever heard of the weather rock, Adam?
No.
If the rock is wet, it's raining. If you can see the rock, it's sunny.
All right, I'm back.
Yeah, it's a rock tied to a rope, and if the rock is wet, it's raining. If the rock is in sunlight, it's sunny. If
If the rock is moving, it's windy.
Yes.
moving, it's windy.
Ooh,
If
what is-
the rock has snow on top of it, it's snowing.
What does that have to do with me saying that I found it very windy in Rapid City, South Dakota?
Oh,
Oh.
it was a comment that I made right before you said that. Of you can always check the weather rock.
And I was just
Ah.
saying, I have one of those.
Yeah, the website here says 4 miles per hour in a westerly direction. So
4 miles an hour, it isn't bad.
Nah.
it's not bad. It's just that when you get blasted in the face and you like choke because you can't breathe.
But
That's the worst.
You guys in Sanguine also have, the lakes.
Yeah.
So
Well, the people up north got it worse. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Way
I
worse.
fucking have all the lakes.
yeah.
Yep.
They say that my state is the land of 10,000 lakes. They're bullshitting. It's the land of 40,000 named lakes.
To
And
be fair,
stress
Wisconsin's
named.
that way too. Up in the northwestern part of Wisconsin.
Yep.
now, like
Yeah.
the weather has not. I mean, the temperature hasn't been terrible. Like, although it was like nice and sunny and 70 at the beginning of the week, and now we're like in the 40s. So just
Damn.
sudden shift over a day. But
That's the tip, though.
did have some pretty high winds, like gusting up in the 60s plus 2 days ago.
And Assassin using meters for his scoping. What kind of American are you? Use
Johnny.
some goddamn freedom units.
Johnny, I vote flipping the table and saying, "Fuck this, I'm going home."
Nice.
That's the answer to your quandary there, Quiz.
Ah.
But no, I had a pretty good day today, guys. I slept in a bit. My birthday is tomorrow, so I went to the movies for the first time, and Sanguine and I figured it out 5 years. I haven't been in the movies theater in 5 years.
As I say, I'm guessing you went to go see Cocaine Bear.
I did. I actually made it a double feature at the last minute. I called an audible and went and saw Puss in Boots: The Last Wish early this afternoon, and then saw Cocaine Bear for their early viewing.
It was Puss in Boots and Cocaine Bear as a double feature.
Yes, sir.
That's fucking awesome.
So I have to ask, how terrible was Puss in Boots?
It was a good movie.
Oh, okay.
I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I've heard it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I've heard it's pretty good.
But like they only had one showing listed for this weekend, and it was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I was like, "Fuck it, let's do that."
Because normally when you get to, what is it, the spin-off of a fourth iteration of a movie? Because
Yeah,
it
it's a
was
branch of a branch, isn't it?
Shrek 1, then Shrek 2, then Shrek 3, and I think Puss in Boots came out in Shrek 4.
I thought he was in Shrek 3.
He wasn't, was it 3?
I thought
Always
I can't remember. I have to
one.
look. Let me hold on. IMDb. Let's see. So was it Shrek the Third? Yeah.
I cannot speak with authority on this. I've never seen a Shrek movie ever.
I've seen Shrek 1.
I've seen. I haven't seen all of the Shreks, but I think. Yeah, he's in Shrek the Third.
Okay, so it's a spin-off of the second sequel of a movie, and Cannibalist Inquisitor saying that Puss in Boots, this Puss in Boots is not the best of the Puss in Boots movies.
I hadn't seen the previous one.
So it's the sequel of a sequel. Oh, sorry, it's a sequel.
It's a sequel of a spin-off
Of
to
a
sequel.
spin-off
Of a
of
sequel.
a sequel of a sequel of an original. I'm surprised that it is even watchable at that point.
Well, I mean, the Street Fighter, the movie, the game, or the game, the movie, the game is pretty awful.
Yeah,
Just saying.
that just makes me think of
What?
You guys,
It is, Adam. It is.
you guys.
What does that have to
know-
do with Puss in Boots? The third.
Do you guys know about the thing that damn it, why am I blanking up? Mark Twain used to do with his books.
He used to write them. If I'm
For
not...
shits and giggles, Mark Twain would have his books translated to French from English, then to English from French. Read them, and then sometimes, I think at least a few of them, he did another round of French to English. Just to see how badly they were mangled in translation.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like the thing that I believe it was either Johnny or Camel brought it up a while ago on one of the streams that I was on, talking about Backstroke of the West. Backstroke of the West is the third Star Wars movie, Revenge of the Sith. Translated from English into Cantonese, Cantonese into like another version of Chinese, into Korean, and then back into English.
And it's Johnny, because that's way too much Asian language.
And it's hilarious. With results like what can you see, R2 is R2, do you is fucking?
Yeah,
I did not know that. That was Johnny.
That is glorious.
It's the origin of one of the most enduring internet memes of all time, the "do not want," because the Darth Vader scene when Darth Vader, stands up off the thing and goes "no," was translated into "do not want."
Nice. That is glorious.
But no, I enjoyed it. It was also kind of funny because it was like 4:00 in the afternoon, and it's a kids movie. Me and the girlfriend went to go see, and so like they were counting the two of us. There were 7 people in the entire theater.
Nice.
But yeah, no one's going to see a movie on a fucking weekday.
So, yeah, it was great.
Yep.
We just had our pick of seats, stretch out. I noticed that the concession stand has shrunk.
Oh yeah.
It's
See,
so
it's
bad.
weird.
The contraction in that has been so bad. Like my plate of nachos fit in like the palm of my hand. I was like, this is bullshit.
Yeah. I say the weird thing about it is too.
When they get
noticed...
a large popcorn, I'm gonna split a large popcorn between me and the girlfriend, and they just got like a bag. I was like,
I noticed that.
Where's your fucking bucket?
Where's my fucking bucket? Yeah.
I noticed that the at the theater that I go to, or at least the last time I went to a theater, that the like they're selling things more than just like food at the concession stand. Like I saw one, they were selling blankets. I'm like, maybe you should just turn off the air conditioner. What do you think?
I would discuss that immediately.
Shut your whore mouth. Don't turn off the air conditioner. Crank that shit up.
I mean,
and now we see part of the contention at the hotel room on the trip.
I was like frozen zone.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god.
But in fairness, it wasn't it one time and another where it was like, hey, it's super hot out. Go to the movie theater and cool down.
That's very true. Yeah, it was like in the 40s, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, because they want you to get the fuck out when the movie's over.
Yeah.
I'm in favor of let the weak freeze in the movie theater.
But no, I was also surprised because we went to Chick-fil-A in between showings, and it's the first time I've ever been there. I'm not super impressed. Like the shakes were good, the food was kind of meh.
I think it's okay. I say it's weird. I keep on forgetting every time before I go to Chick-fil-A that they use rye in their breading, and so I'm always like shocked the first bite. Rye wheat.
It has a spicier taste. It's
yeah.
Well, I just got some chicken strips, and I was like, these are kind of puny.
What is the thing that people get at Chick-fil-A? Is it a sandwich or is it strips? Like
I go
here's
for the sandwich.
The sandwich is the classic. A lot of people also like their nuggies.
the nuggies.
Yeah.
I split the difference and I went with the strips just to see what their chicken was like just by itself.
Mm-hmm.
And
And then of course the waffle fries. The waffle fries are also
they
great.
were
Whoa, wait, they got
bland to
waffle
me.
fries?
Yep.
They do,
Waffle
my friend.
fries? Okay, well,
Those were bland to me.
Really? I liked them.
Yeah.
I like them.
I mean, like the food was served hot. It was, timely from the time that we placed the order to sitting down. Like they were there in a couple minutes. Like it's good service. The food was just kind of meh.
Did you just get a bad batch where they didn't salt them right away?
I don't think they do salt them.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do. They're just not very. They usually don't salt it very heavily. Unlike like Wendy's that like fucking oversalts it, like they're trying to kill a snail.
unless Lot's wife turns around. Oh no! Oh, Bible joke.
But yeah, we went back for the second showing, or for the early showing of Cocaine Bear, and that was. I don't even know if I'd say that theater was 20% full. I mean, I'm sure maybe like the 9 o'clock showing would probably, fuller, but yeah. Again, just got to pick a seats. It was. I did not feel like I was lied to going into that movie. That was exactly what I was expecting, and that's what I got.
There was a bear. There was cocaine. He was happy.
Yeah. It was just, some dumb fun set in the 80s. So I mean the soundtrack was good.
I'm trying to remember the name of the movie that I saw. It was the Liam Neeson as a snowplow driver. And his son gets murdered by local crime family.
I
Taken 12.
Nah,
Taking
it's
snowplow.
like Cold Pursuit.
In the dead of winter.
Hold on, that sounds like a Steven Seagal movie.
Yeah.
Camel's currently looking it up.
Well, he's got one called The Ice Road that came out a couple years ago.
It cannot be as bad as that fucking.
Oh no, it came out 2021.
It cannot be as bad as that fucking Tuvi fucking movie that came out called Snowfalls.
Cold Pursuit 2019.
It is Cold Pursuit? Okay, yeah. Cold Pursuit. It is a action dark comedy, and it actually fucking worked. It was
a grieving snowplow driver seeks out revenge against the drug dealers who killed his son.
Yep. The best part was they did something, and the first time that you see it, it's just, okay, yeah, that's nice. And then they keep on doing it, and it's glorious. Because what they do is every time that someone dies, a black screen suddenly pops up with white text of the person's name, their birth date, their death date, and then their religion. And it's every time...
No eulogy?
No eulogy. But every time someone dies, that screen pops up. So the first few times you're going, oh, okay, so that's what that is. And then as it goes, it just gets better and better every time that it immediately slaps to the black screen. There's one of them where someone you think has died, but it doesn't go to a black screen, so you're going, oh, they must not have died. It gets halfway through a scene, slaps to the black screen, name, birthday, death date, religion, goes right back to the scene where it cut it. It's glorious. Because there's just a bunch of strange jokes hidden in how that thing is timed out. And I absolutely loved it. It was amazing. I absolutely recommend that movie. If anyone hasn't seen it, see that movie. Just for that gimmick. It was fantastic how they did it.
I'm just looking at who all's in this movie now.
It had a decent cast.
Yeah, that Cold Pursuit.
Yep.
Yeah, Laura Dern, Bradley Stryker, Dominic Lombard, Dozy.
Mm-hmm.
John Doman. Yeah, this Emmy Rossum. Okay.
Yeah. And like I said, just that gimmick alone, fucking hilarious. Just because it was, you got so used to when someone died that there would be times where you're going, oh, that person didn't actually die. Boom! Like the moment that you start thinking that they didn't die, it would just slap it.
It took him a couple seconds to bleed out.
Yeah, exactly. That was what it was in the movie. It was that someone took a bit of time to bleed out, or that someone took a bit of time to have their death actually hit. There's one point where someone ends up getting stuck paragliding, I think it was. And you're just watching this as he's paragliding through scenes the entire time. His death hasn't popped up. And then there's a quick cutaway to like a wood chipper. And then it shows the mouth of the wood chipper as viscera just starts spewing out, and then it slaps in with that person's name.
That kind of sounds like a scene from Deadpool 2.
It was amazing.
Not seeing Deadpool 2.
Yeah, they had a scene where they all jumped out of an airplane and like everyone but Deadpool died. Oh, Deadpool and Domino. One guy he landed on some power lines. I think did another dude get hit? I think he got hit by a car. One guy like went halfway into a wood chipper, and he shot acid. He spit acid, and so like another guy lands and tries to pull him out of the wood chipper, and he ends up puking acid all over him.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds about like the beginning of the new the second Suicide Squad movie.
I haven't seen that one. I saw the first one. I was like, that's 2 hours of my life I'm never getting back.
I heard the second
It's
one
not
was
that
better.
bad. Second one was good.
I heard the second one was considerably better.
It's good.
Because it had really good characterization of several of the characters.
That was like the first Suicide Squad movie was the last chance I was giving Warner Brothers and DC.
Yeah.
I was like, I was watching it with some old college buddies, and it was just like, this is what we're doing, okay. And then like afterwards, I was like, motherfuckers wasted my time.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think the movie was that bad.
Well, I would actually like to see, what was it? David Ayers was the one that directed that, right?
David Ayer, yeah.
I'd like to see what his version would have looked like, because what they delivered after editing is like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there were a lot of really just, okay, this is happening so that there is a movie that can happen after this. Shit that just made me go, fucking really?
Like what?
Like her file being on the desk when they know that she can just teleport everywhere effectively and do a ridiculous amount of shit. They just have her files sitting out so that she can see where shit's being kept, thus allowing her to create the plot. The way that Katana was introduced was just kind of like, oh, we forgot she's here too. So rather than showing, rather than telling, we're just going to have a character have the dialogue of, don't mess with her. She can kill your soul with her sword.
I say that dialogue was kind of lame, but that kind of shit happens in the comics all the time, especially with Katana.
But it's a different medium when it comes to the comics.
I don't think that you necessarily need to establish that sort of thing, because I mean, what's the major complaint a lot of people have for a lot of superhero movies is that I need to see Bruce Wayne's origin story again.
I would shoot Martha and Thomas Wayne myself if I never had to see another necklace of pearls dropping.
My major complaint about most of the comic book shit is that they get key characters wrong at the core of them.
I could agree with that, but I don't think any character in Suicide Squad was off character, out of character.
See,
I'd
Johnny
say
still hasn't forgiven
Waller
them for
wasn't all that on spot, because, like I said, having the files visible like that so that she would just be able to go, oh, so that's where everything important's being kept.
But no, the major reason why she did that is because she wanted the incident to take place to justify the use of Task Force X.
I'd just like to point out that Johnny still hasn't forgiven them for the way they used Adam Beach in that movie.
Adam Meach?
Beach.
Who?
Yes.
Slipknot?
Yeah.
I like Cannibalistic Wizard. Unless Amanda Waller is tall and fat as a barn, she's not my Amanda Waller.
In New 52, she was an agent. Like, she was a field agent, full on fucking former Marine. She was svelte, she was lithe, and she was running around gunning people down.
But yeah, I would say that the second Suicide Squad did better with the characterization, in my opinion.
I think the second Suicide Squad made it more accessible for people that aren't into comics. I think the first Suicide Squad is good for people that read the comics, because mainly the whole thing with Slipknot too. That was in the comic. That's straight up verbatim what happens in the early '60s Suicide Squad. Mm-hmm. Is that Boomerang gets it in his mind to test the veracity of the explosive, right? And this is also back when the explosive was actually attached to their arm, not their neck. Mm-hmm. But he goes and he tries to get Slipknot to go AWOL, and then Waller blows up the explosive.
Mm-hmm.
So that shit happened in the comic.
Yeah, the reason why I say that I preferred 2 to 1 is because the character tension felt more real in 2. Like the final fight between I'm blanking on names now for some reason.
Starro? Or no, you're talking about the one between
Peacekeeper
and Rick Flag.
That was entirely character driven, and it made absolute fucking sense why each of them were taking the actions that they were taking.
Yeah, I don't know. Like the one thing that I felt was really out of character though in that movie is when they go and kill all of the freedom fighters, and then the freedom fighters say, "What the fuck are you doing?" and then look back and see all of the dead people, and yet somehow still forgive Task Force X.
Yeah, that was the one strange part. But I'm more forgiving of side characters doing silly shit than I am of the main characters doing shit that I'm going, okay, why? And that was where the second one did a really good job. Every character had their internal motivations and their shit that they did. And when they took an action, you were pretty much going, okay, yeah, that is the action that character would take.
The problem I have with the second movie is they killed off Jai Courtney too quick.
Oh yeah, that can be perfectly fine justification, but
he was one of my favorite things in the David Ayer one.
Yep. But you get what I'm saying with the characterization bit of when they showed a character.
No, actually, I think that the two had more characterization problems than one.
Oh, really? Which one?
Oh, yeah.
Would be the big ones?
Harley Quinn is definitely one of them. I think that Margot Robbie, she turns in a good performance, and I like some of the ideas, the action sequences, and the set pieces that they did for Harley in the second one. But I don't think that she was, in character, so to speak, in that one as much as she was in the first. Say what you want about Jared Leto's performance as the Joker, Margot Robbie nailed Harley for that.
Yeah. Margot Robbie did a good job as Harley Quinn, but Jared Leto's Joker was just so shit.
I mean, I think it's just a different interpretation of it. He didn't have anything to do. It was mainly just setting up set pieces where he would just do nothing. If you're gonna go over the top with the Joker, he wasn't given anything to do.
And the deviation from the comic book Joker.
I'm not as angry about that as other things, because I mean, I'm way more receptive to that, given the fact that the Joker's story has evolved over these years. Now that they've come out and done the whole Endgame plot, they've revealed that there's 3 different Jokers, and there's been Jokers throughout the entire history of Gotham City, working in a sort of tandem to try and destroy the city, essentially. And it's all one of them is 100-something years old, because there's a corrupted Lazarus pit underneath Gotham City, and there's all this weird shit. So in terms
one of them
of
just got pregnant.
Yeah, in terms of what it means to be the Joker. Yeah,
one of them got pregnant.
Yeah. In terms of
I did hear about that, didn't I? I just purged it from my mind.
In terms of what it means to be the Joker, it's so mutable now that the Jared Leto's performance doesn't really bother me all that much. I don't like the tattoos. That's about the only thing I can sit there and say about that. I thought the gimmick about the tattoo over his hand when he puts it over his face, for the rictus grin, I thought that was clever. But it's a one-time thing, and all of the other tattoos just detracted from it.
That was one of my major things. That imagining the Joker sitting still long enough to get that much fucking work done.
Well, it's not only that. It's the problem that I had with it is that a lot of it just seemed to on the nose, damaged on his forehead and shit like that. It's all I don't necessarily think the Joker can't sit still enough to get the tattoos. I'm just saying that those sorts of tattoos were meaningless, and the Joker, in terms of what his outward appearance would suggest, and all of this characterization would say something along the lines of they would need to mean something to the Joker, not just be pithy. And I think that the idea that David Ayer went with both Harley Quinn and the Joker in that movie is that whereas Jack Nicholson embodied the 40s gangster version of the Joker, and you had the madman anarchist of what's his name? Shit, Heath Ledger. Is that this Joker and Harley Quinn embodies the 90s and modern 2000s gangsta Joker.
Mm.
I think it was a miss. I'm not saying it was perfect.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that it's not necessarily out of character. I'm just saying that I didn't like it. and that's the thing too, is I've been a vocal defender of this movie for a very long time. I just don't think it's as bad as people say or think it is.
No,
it has that's the thing that I think that it can be fun, and I don't have a problem with people that enjoyed it because they found it fun. But saying it was a good movie is always a bit too much of a stretch for me.
I
blame the editing.
Yeah, the editing is definitely part of it. I also think that it's weird too, because David Ayer had a couple of really interesting ideas for it, but were all scrapped from the final version. Like one of my favorite things is one of the things I actually do kind of like about it is the soundtrack. But in the original, they had "Sympathy for the Devil," and even though I don't like that song by the Rolling Stones, I think that other people have done a better version of that song. It still fits with the idea of the fact that your saviors in this movie are bad guys. You know what I mean? But that was straight up cut from the movie, and I think it's probably because they couldn't get the rights or Rolling Stones wanted way too much money. But stuff like that. Well, that wasn't Queen. That was a cover for Bohemian Rhapsody. Yeah, that was a cover. It wasn't actually Queen.
Oh, I forgot.
It's been so long. I don't know, like there are things that I really do like about the movie. I'm not going to sit there and say that it's a perfect movie. I'm not even going to sit there and say that it's the best representation of the Suicide Squad. No, I think like both David Ayer and James Gunn missed that by a long shot. I think the best representation of the Suicide Squad is Assault on Arkham.
And Johnny just said it was better.
Yep.
Yeah, Assault on Arkham is great. I fucking love that movie. And also it's good because it shows that Tara Strong is not the best Harley Quinn. Yeah, I never thought she was anyway, but it's Hynden Walsh did a way better job. But yeah, you have all these kinds of things. I'm sick of people trashing that movie when it wasn't that bad. It's like saying it's a war crime when it was at worst, just a smelly fart in a room.
It was a waste of time, is all.
I don't think it was a waste of time at all either. I think the movie was pretty good.
I would like to see David Ayer's version, though.
So would I.
I would like to see that, and then I could give a final judgment. But
I think David Ayer was done dirty by that too.
Yeah, watching what Warner Brothers end up putting out is like I said, I blame the editing. That was bad.
I would have much rather see the David Ayers cut than see the fucking
Zack Snyder cut of Justice League. Yeah, same. But, I like to see it. To me, it's like the little things in it too, because like one of the things that I appreciate the fuck out of is that Deadshot, right? In the comics, he has those the gun gauntlets, right?
Oh, you mean Will Smith? Okay.
No, I'm talking about in the comics. I think Will Smith did a passable job as Floyd Lawton, but at the same time, he is not my Floyd Lawton, if that makes sense.
Also,
he plays Will Smith. He doesn't play Floyd Lawton.
One of the problems that I had was they had the same problem that a lot of superhero movies have of we need to come up with some way of getting them out of their masks.
Yeah, because like he was cool when he put the mask on. Just leave the fucking mask on. Anyway,
but then you wouldn't see Will Smith.
I don't care about seeing Will Smith. But anyway, no, the major thing that I appreciate is like the little minutia, right? So like we know from the comics that Deadshot has the gun gauntlets, right?
Mm-hmm.
In that movie, they made functional Glock 19s strapped to Will Smith's wrists. Those were real guns.
Very nice. Yeah, there's the Inquisitor. Have you heard my rant about why every Superman movie recently has sucked dick?
No, I've not heard that.
They get Superman wrong at the core of him. Because every modern Superman movie goes, Superman, he's an alien. And that's what makes him special. No. Superman.
He's a farm boy from Kansas.
Farm boy from Kansas.
Yes.
That who has powers. So he's a farm boy from Kansas that wants to do the right thing and actually has the power to do the right thing. And everyone wants to make it where, the way that you put Superman in danger is you have to put him in physical danger. No, you can't fucking put Superman in physical danger, you cunt. That's not how Superman should ever be written. the way that you deal with Superman is you put him in moral peril rather than mortal peril.
Since we're on the topic of Superman, just tangentially, I saw that John Schneider's wife passed away recently.
Oh, I feel sorry for him.
Yeah, and,
his movie's still shit, but I feel sorry for him.
Now he played Pa Kent in Smallville. He was on the Duke Boys, the actor. Yes,
Snyder, the other Snyder.
Yeah, I heard about
Schneider.
that.
Sorry, Schneider, not Snyder.
Yeah,
was what you said. I misheard.
So the conundrum, the quandary of Superman, right, is that there are far too many people who write for Superman that want to make him the Nietzsche ideal, the Ubermensch. But it's not about that at all. It's the fact that Superman is all powerful, right? But it's the fact that he knows that it is wrong to abuse that power.
Yep.
That's what makes him an interesting character.
And that's what I was going for, because one of my favorite episodes of the animated series that was entirely about this idea.
Yeah. You and I talked about this last time I was on. Yeah. About the one where he was...
the late Mr. Kent.
Yeah, the late Mr. Kent. Yeah. We talked about that last time I was on your night. It's been a while, but yeah.
Yeah, that is the thing that enrages me, because you can make a fascinating Superman movie. You can make a really goddamn glorious Superman movie.
Oh, yeah. But I think that Superman is best when you explore Superman as a person rather than Superman as a superhero.
Yeah, like I said,
why I liked Red Sun.
Yeah,
exactly. What you do is you put him in moral peril rather than mortal peril. So
yeah,
mortal peril, everyone understands that. Life or death. That doesn't fucking work with a goddamn immortal, fucking godly individual. You can't do that shit because no one thinks that he's going to die.
I think that's partly the reason why I do like Injustice, but there's a lot of people. I can't remember where I was seeing it, but there was a whole bunch of people on either Twitter or fucking YouTube, just like the leftoids, the rightoids, sitting there just going off on it about they're wrong about this. Well, they're wrong about this, and I think they're both getting it wrong. Because there's plenty of people, on the right that like to say that Injustice is disabusing Superman because they're making him a villain. But I think that is the ultimate expression of what you just said. The moral quandary, not the mortal quandary, is because, at least in the very beginning, I have not kept up with Injustice. I've not read any of Injustice 2. I have all of the 5 years and Ground Zero of Injustice in trade paperback. And when Mark Miller was on that book, it was really, really fucking good because it was a moral quandary of Superman. Superman is essentially, after his life just crumbles around him, decides that at that point he wants no one to suffer like he just did, and becomes the dictator of the earth. That methodology and mentality, especially with someone who has the power to enact it, that's perfectly believable. And that's going back on another really good comic book in history, the Killing Joke. All it takes is one bad day. Well, that was Superman's one bad day.
Oh, that reminds me of a comic that I saw a while ago, and I can't remember what it is. You probably will. It's Superman was getting pushed by the Joker, and Batman realized that Superman was getting pushed by the Joker to the point where he realized that the Joker realized that he could break Superman. So what he did was he took the Joker and was driving to Arkham with the Joker captive in the Batmobile. And he's talking to the Joker. Partway through the drive to Arkham, he reaches over and he kills the Joker. Then he turns himself in, saying that he killed him in cold blood, and he gets arrested and sentenced for murder. And he did it because he realized that it was either he could kill the Joker right then and there, or the Joker would break Superman. And
I don't think I've read that story in particular, but parts of it sound familiar because I think it's like parts of it have been used in things. I remember that was part of the beginning of Injustice.
yeah, I know that Injustice, Joker did break Superman.
Yes.
Effectively. But in this one, it was kind of leading up towards that. Because he had almost killed Lois. He had almost done a shit ton of things that would have broken Superman. And he realized it, and everyone else realized it. Superman almost went too far. And that was when Batman stepped in, stopped Superman. And then as he's going to turn over the Joker, he realizes, nope, I can't. This is when you've gone too far, because if you get out, you are going to create a monster. So he just kills him right then and there.
Yeah.
And then turns himself over, destroying his own secret identity, destroying everything else.
Yeah, I would not at all be surprised if that was an Elseworld. It certainly sounds like one.
Mm-hmm.
And just let me address something here. Assassin of the Grey says, what if we took Superman but made him evil? I'm so brilliant. Self-righteous leftist writers. That's exactly what I'm talking about, dude. That's the thing that's being levied against Injustice. But Injustice is brilliant. And it's not because they made Superman a villain. It's because they gave him a moral quandary. He came down on the wrong side of it. But it's clever in its writing. It's not just, what if we made Superman a villain? You want that? You want fucking Superman Red Sun, because that's, he turns into a fucking communist.
Well, that one is even, I
like it because
writing.
It was, what Sanguine and I were talking about earlier. He's a Kansas farm boy. Well,
what if he wasn't?
He lands in the Soviet Union.
Yeah. What if he was raised by the Soviets?
He's still believing that he's doing the right thing. It's just
they did something really weird with that too. There was a comic book tie-in with DC did this thing that it was essentially just like a one-off sort of art thing that they did, and then they turned it into a comic, which was really hit and miss. It was like sometimes it was pretty okay, and other times it was pretty awful. It was a series, the DC Bombshells series, where it was a reimagining of World War II with all of the different DC superheroines as the different characters that would be, going around in essentially World War II. And they did that sort of with
somebody
Supergirl.
Was 40 when they greenlit that, huh?
I own the bombshell statue of Harley Quinn. Just saying. And
you're not dissuading me from my thesis here.
Well, yeah, dude, let's put it this way too. I really also really want the Black Canary one too. I love it. She's got this like tattoo on her, like really tasteful tattoo on like the inner part of her forearm that is a burning heart that says Oliver. I'm all like, oh, I want that. Anyway,
but then you'll need 2 large jars, Inquisitor.
Yeah, right. These are like well over like 18 inches tall. They're huge. But
gigantic jars.
Gigantic mason jars. No, that series
pickle jars.
One of the things they did that I thought was actually kind of interesting and using like real life history is they had Supergirl was part of what was the battalion called, or the unit called in Russia? Was it like
Oh, are you
flying,
talking about
the witches? No, the witches, the pilots.
Yeah, the pilots. Okay.
Yeah, I can't remember their name, but like they got this like reputation for like what they would do is like in their engagements they would intimidate their foe because they would just straight up turn off their engines and just glide through most of it. Strike witches, that was it. Thank you, Cannibalistic. And what it was that Supergirl it's essentially the same story as Red Sun, right? That Supergirl and Clark Kent, Kara and Kara Danvers and Kal-El, crash land in the Soviet Union, and what it was that, and they don't shy away from it either. Too, they talk about how their parents were put in the gulags because they were fucking Bolsheviks, and but Kara, in an effort to kind of save her adopted parents, joins the Strike Witches. It's only after she's shot down and revealed that she's a Kryptonian that, things start to go fucking crazy.
Yep.
And that's when the Soviets adopt her as the Supergirl.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, when it comes to Superman, if you want to tell other stories with Superman other than he's a farm boy, he's just a good old Kansas farm boy who was raised right by Mom, Pa Kent. What you do is you do a what if and insert area where he landed. What if he landed in the Soviet Union? You get the Red Sun. What if he landed in communist China? You'd end up with a fucking different Superman. What if he landed in the English countryside? You'd end up with a different Superman.
What if he landed in the middle of Metropolis and destroyed the city as if it were a gigantic nuclear bomb? Yep. Then you'd have Flashpoint Paradox.
Yeah, you have a shit ton of different Superman stories that you can tell just by changing where he lands. Because the thing is, any Superman story that's done right, in my opinion, is the story of where he lands.
Mm-hmm. Story of where he grows up. It's very much a nurture sort of story. Yep. Superman is definitely a vessel for that. In my opinion, I think that if you guys are interested in those kinds of comics, and I've pitched this on Comic Book Curation a lot of times, and I've talked about it a lot, and I keep on going back to it. Max Landis, who's a hit and miss writer. I think he did really good with Chronicle. I think he did awful with American Ultra. He has this amazing video. Everyone should check it out after the stream, obviously, called The Death and Return of Superman. And it's the most amazing retelling of the death of Superman ever. But Max Landis is a Hollywood screenwriter, right? He's the son of John Landis. He wrote Chronicle, he wrote American Ultra, and all that kind of stuff. After he made that video, The Death and Return of Superman, DC gave him an opportunity to put his money where his mouth was and write a Superman comic. It's called American Alien. It's a 7-issue miniseries, and it's really, really good.
Nice.
It's really good. It's 7 different stories with 7, written by one guy, written by Max Landis, but with 7 different artists. And the idea is that it's taking little bits and pieces from all during Clark Kent's life and showing how he grew up to be the man that he is. And it's really, really good.
That was the part that enraged me about the Snyder movies when it comes to Superman. Because, first off, if you're going to kill Pa Kent, there's a way that you kill Pa Kent, and it was done in the old movies. You make it disease. You make it
you make it something that Superman can't control.
Yep, make it something that Superman can't control. So even with all of his fucking powers, he's forced to watch his father die. That is a brilliant fucking way of doing it.
I mean, that's echoed throughout all of the the epics of human endeavor, all of from Odysseus all the way back, even further. That's the conundrum, the inevitability of mortality. That's the a core facet of human storytelling, and it's lost on some people who want to try and reinvent the wheel. The wheel has been invented, and it's a really good invention, and it's persisted for so long for a reason.
Okay, what you just said reminded me of something. So I recently found the book of myths and legends that I was fucking raised on when I was younger, and I was reading through it a little bit ago. And you just mentioned that is an idea in myths and legends. So
Mhm.
you guys all know the story of Theseus and the Minotaur, right?
Of course.
Yeah, yes, but before we go on, I just want to say, gentlemen, it's my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Well, happy birthday. Yes, it is. It's 12 o'clock.
Should
Anyway,
we
you're
sing
saying
happy
Theseus and the
birthday?
Minotaur.
I
No,
think we
please
should
don't.
sing happy birthday.
Don't do that.
Are you ready? I mean, we've waited to this time.
Sanguine, mute Adam.
Hold on. Are you ready?
But hold on. So in
Happy
birthday.
Oh, you fuckers.
to you.
Mr. Camel.
Happy birthday.
Oh, wait, are you guys doing it as a round? What's going on here?
I don't know. We're doing it as
Happy
we go.
birthday,
Happy
dear
birthday.
Camel. Happy birthday,
Happy
to,
birthday
you.
to you.
So
Can't keep time, not on key. This is exactly why I wanted to avoid this.
You know what? We tried.
but
Look,
that's
it's
the
12
whole
o'clock at night.
charm of the happy birthday song.
Yeah, it's
If
the
you
point.
sing happy birthday in perfect pitch at the perfect time, that's
maybe-
fucking creepy.
Maybe if you toss some dollarinos, we'd probably work at some pitch perfect stuff. So, but you get what you got.
But yeah,
Where's the cake?
so in Theseus and the Minotaur,
Mhm.
Theseus's father is King Aegeus, and before Theseus is taken as one of the sacrifices to head to Minos, or to head to Crete to be sacrificed to Minos's bull, the Minotaur, he
Minos.
tells Theseus that if he survives the trip, all the boats sail away with black sails. If he survives and he comes safe home, he is to change the sails to white. Because that will tell Aegeus that Theseus has come safe home.
Mhm.
So I'm just going to read the last few paragraphs. This is right after Theseus has slain the Minotaur. Then the hero felt his way back along the thread until he came out to the mouth of that terrible maze. Adrene was overjoyed as she saw him stagger out. "It is done," he gasped, showing her the blood-stained sword. Swiftly they went back to the dungeons, opened all the doors, and set the prisoners free. The Athenians and Adrene fled to their ship, leapt on board, and hoisted up the sail. And as the night was dark and starless, no one saw them escape into the open sea. Meanwhile, old Aegeus sat on the cliffs near Athens day after day, straining his eyes across the sea, hoping to see a white sail gleam. Alas, so eager was Theseus to reach home that he had forgotten to hoist up the white sail. And so, when his father spied the black sail on the sea, he thought his son was dead. In his great grief, he threw himself into the sea, which is called the Aegean to this day. By sad fate, therefore, Theseus became king of Athens and ruled wisely and well for many years. Athenians still honor him as their lawgiver and as the father of their freedom. This is a thing that is properly classical myth and legend, that the father, if the father's not killed by the son,
Yeah.
the father dies in a way that the son
Was
had
responsible for?
Is powerless to prevent.
powerless to stop,
I
or
mean,
it is due to an heir of the son. So that would be another way. If they wanted to kill Pa Kent, have it be during one of the massive fights that Superman is in with some world-destroying force.
have the tornado that killed Pa Kent be made from Superman blowing a breath too hard.
Well, no, don't have that. Have it be that it is Superman fighting against some horrendous foe, ends up breaking a chunk of a building and that chunk kills Pa Kent. That would be one way of doing it.
Mhm.
That would fuck up Superman, and you'd have to be really good at writing that story. But you could have that be how Pa Kent dies. Or you have Pa Kent die in a way that he is powerless to prevent. It either has to be something that was an unforeseen outcome of his own action, or it has to be something that he just has to watch, not because he's choosing to watch, which is what Snyder did. There's no fucking way that Superman couldn't either A, just stop the fucking tornado, or B, go, Pa, no, you aren't fucking going out there. You stay here. I'll go out there. Either way, Pa Kent would have survived. You have him die of a terminal disease that Superman can't deal with, or you have him die due to a fallout of an action Superman took, or you just have it be like the animated series, Mom and Pa Kent are alive.
Yeah, they're alive. And it's in the comics too.
Yep, that's
for the most part
as well. You have them be alive, and if they're alive, then you get the fantastic element that happens with Ma and Pa Kent time and time again in the cartoons, and I'm willing to bet in the comics, Inquisitor can tell me if I'm wrong in this, of Superman doesn't know what the fuck to do. He has a moral problem, so he calls up the most moral people that he knows. Ma, Pa, this is my problem. And they guide him through the issue.
So I'm looking it up here. The screenwriter for Man of Steel was David S. Goyer, and the co-credit for story by is fucking Christopher Nolan. So I don't know which one of them is to blame for that, but I'm gonna lay it on David Goyer because he is the one with the most pathetic career, in my opinion.
Fair enough.
He got his start with Blade Trinity.
Okay, yeah. But that's
like really popping off. Sorry, is with Blade Trinity.
That's the thing that drives me crazy, though, because it is time and again they just
write the characters I'm sorry.
Wrong.
He wasn't Blade Trinity. He wrote all 3 of the Blade movies.
So he was the Blade trilogy.
Yeah. He also wrote Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance.
Okay, yeah, that is pretty sad.
Yeah, no, because I don't know, man. That you're absolutely right about the whole thing about the tornado killing Pa Kent is the wrong way to go. Mainly because the whole idea about it too is that, and I think that a lot of writers are just afraid to do these sorts of stories these days. Is about children defying their parents. The whole idea behind that could have been a really good character building moment where Superman shows that he has the gumption, the drive to defy Pa Kent to do what's right. He's like, you can't reveal yourself to anyone. And he goes, Pa, look, people are going to die. I'm not going to let that happen. And then he goes around and he saves all those people. That is in character for Superman.
But it would still be an absolute betrayal of Pa Kent.
Exactly. And it would still be a character building moment. So it's why did you do it the other way? The other way, it makes no sense.
And the betrayal of Pa Kent is the part that really pisses me off, because that everything of the Snyder movies is a betrayal of Pa Kent. Every moment that he is on screen is a betrayal. Why did you save those children drowning in the bus, Clark? The fuck? Pa Kent would never say that.
He'd never say that.
Pa Kent, if he found out that Clark even thought for a second before saving the children drowning in the bus, he would have been enraged with Clark, Because how dare you? We raised you better than this. You're able to save those kids. Why did you hesitate?
See, they bring that up in a really good bit in American Alien. The very first story of American Alien is of a preteen, Clark, right, who's just discovering his powers and discovering a way to use them, and he gets to the point where he gets so angry like some kids do, but while he's staring daggers at the kid that offended him or hurt him or made fun of him, he gets lasers shooting out of his eyes and nearly kills a kid his age because he can't control it. And the very first story is him not being able to fly, or not being able to control his flight as he just kind of floats across the cornfield, and Paws chasing him down, trying to lasso him and bring him back into the car. All these sorts of things. It shows that Clark, even though he has these, insane, crazy powers, right, is that it's grounded in the fact that he is a human trying and learning to be a person.
Yeah, and everyone in modern renditions of Superman, they want to make Superman Kal-El. Kal-El has fuck all to do with Superman. Clark Kent is Superman.
Like I'm not even that disingenuous on the Kal-El aspect either. I mean, that's a fun, interesting story to build on as well. Him trying to discover, where his species comes from and all that kind of stuff. All those things can lead to a good story, but it's not at the core of the character.
Yeah, that's not his defining feature. It's this is an interesting thing to look into element rather than this is who I am. Yeah. At no point should Superman be thinking that I'm just Kal-El. No, you're fucking Kent.
Well, the major thing about it is that there's some people that like to sit there and explore that sort of duality, the fact that he is an alien and not really human. But the ultimate come down of that should be that regardless of whatever he discovers about it, is that he knows that that's not his home. His home is Earth. Yeah. And so therefore, regardless of however much he learns about the Kryptonians, or regardless of how much he learns about, the people that he came from, it's the ultimate adoption story of the United States. The whole idea behind Superman, Truth, Justice, and the American Way is that way for a reason, because the American ideal is the fact that we are a country of immigrants, right? Yep. At least in terms of how we operate nowadays. We have a culture of adoption. When you come to the United States, you come to be an American.
Yep.
So the idea behind all of that is that Superman, regardless of whatever things he was when he was a Kryptonian, he's an American.
Yep. And like I said, if people really want to tell different Superman stories, he is a character that all you do is you say, this version of him didn't land in Kansas. This version landed insert area. And you could have very different characters without even leaving the United States.
Oh, yeah,
because
absolutely.
If you slap Superman from being a Kansas farm boy to one of the ghettos of a massive city, you end up with a very different city. You are a very different person. You slap him into Louisiana, you end up with a very different character. You can pop him into different areas and end up with different characters. That's the cool part. And you could have good versions of him very easily. You could have bad versions of him very easily. I mean, for fuck's sake, could you imagine if Superman, rather than ending up in Kansas, ended up being raised by an IRA family?
Well, that's we
I was
kind of have
thinking of a
that
New Jersey guinea that works in waste management.
No, that's America Chavez. In terms of Superman, joining the IRA, there is a comic about that. It's called Punk Rock Jesus, and it's actually really good.
Nice. But yeah, IRA Superman, that would be a hell of a story.
Rotten Court
Superman.
says Boomhauer Superman.
Boomhauer Superman. Goddamn cartel Superman.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Sinaloa Superman.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, think about it this way, right? The new America Chavez comic, by the way, I highly recommend this. Everyone go out and read it because it's so good. It's Made in America is the name of the comic. Essentially, the whole idea behind it is that if you read between the lines, and I love some of the PR for it because they're all like, read between the lines, and it's her powerful journey and blah blah blah. The comic, the way that they depict it, this family doesn't like they find America Chavez floating on a piece of driftwood on the New Jersey shoreline and just decide she's ours. Finders keepers.
Nice.
Number one, you can't do that with a child.
Yeah.
And they just kind of go with it. So it's like, read between the lines. Bitch, I am reading between the lines. She's in a family of criminals.
Yeah.
That's child abduction. And like, it's got all of these unintended hilarious things about it. Like, one of my favorite things is that the overall plot behind it is that, okay, for those that don't know and haven't watched the episodes on Comic Book Curation about it, America Chavez gets her powers from coming from a place called the Utopian Parallel, where everyone is a woman because it's utopia, so we can't have any men there. And women give butt birth from each other, and she's the daughter of two goddesses, right? This is all Gabby Rivera's original, fan fiction. Do not steal. The Made in America version of America Chavez is saying,
wait a second.
I'm sorry. Yes.
So it's all women, which means they're lesbians, and they're still
Yes.
doing butt stuff. No scissoring, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
so
it's
do not copy.
swirly girly stuff is all I gotta say. It's I say butt birth because every single one of them is an idiot. So like, oh my god, like, anyway. So it turns out that during this comic, Made in America, they discover the fact that America Chavez is losing her superpowers. Like, they're just all of a sudden stopped working, right? Well, that's because the Utopian Parallel is a thing. It's another dimension horrorscape like the Fantastic Four went to get all of their superpowers. And what it was is that America Chavez, when she was a little child, was diagnosed with a disease called Edges syndrome. I'm not kidding you. That's exactly what they call it. And she's dying. And the treatment for this was to have her exposed to radiation from the
different type of edges.
Yeah. Designed to get to radiation, right, from this place called the Utopian Parallel. And what it was is that her two moms were not goddesses. They were women that had been married to men and had children in their previous marriage and decided to divorce those men and get together. And they're both scientists that work on this project. So the entirety of the comic is just made to shit on Gabby Rivera, and it's amazing.
Nice. But yeah, the fact that you could just pick up and import this character different places, because yeah, you could have criminal Superman, you could have villain Superman, you can have questionable Superman, anti-hero Superman, hero Superman, you could have all fucking types of Superman just by popping them in different situations.
And I'm gonna say this too, is that even the most staunchly, entrenched in social justice ideal of a character that was created can be written well if you have a good writer that will do the character justice, or tell a story that's not afraid to pull punches.
Yep.
Or no, sorry.
How would you fix
that will not
Starfire quiz?
That will not pull punches. I Am Not Starfire is fucking retarded. It is
Hi, Poppy.
the worst abortion that we've ever seen put on a page. I'm surprised that the placenta isn't leaking out of every single individual, splash page. Ha ha ha! Get it?
And the thing is that in order to fix those characters, what you'd have to do is change so much about them that their names are the same. And
No, I mean, like I said, the utopian parallel exists. She has two moms. All of that kind of stuff is
Yep.
there. It's just that it's turned on its head in the fact that like what she's believing is the truth turned out to be a gigantic lie.
that's what
And
I'm
it's
saying.
it's an edgy lie.
You end up having to twist things enough that you're able to fix the problems inherent in the
Twist but not break is the major problem.
Yeah.
Because like America Chavez, all of those kinds of things, like I said, it's all technically true.
Yep.
All the stuff that Gabby Rivera wrote is true. But again, it's the fact that this comic is not afraid to go dark.
Yep. And it's the same thing that you could do with I'm Not Starfire, because you could take the basics and then just
Well, see, the major problem with
change.
like that is the fact that Mandy isn't even a representative of Starfire's actual daughter. Like the whole thing, with that was it's a shameless self-insert. Just like Gabby Rivera and fucking America Chavez, they're shameless self-insert and fucking fan fiction stories.
Yep.
When I say fan fiction, I mean it in the worst pejorative as it can possibly be interpreted, guys. I hate fan fiction, okay? And fan fiction is the most like self-congratulatory, masturbatory bullshit ever put to page. And that is both of those storylines to a T.
Inquisitor, are you just a prep that's flamsing?
A what?
Are you just a prep that's flamsing?
No, I've got my lung black bread and a robe that says Avril Lavigne on the back.
Okay. For those who don't know what the fuck we're talking about, it's My Immortal.
It was Dumbledore.
Yeah. Ebony Darkness Dimension Wave. Or sorry. Ebony Darkness Dementia Ravenway.
And B, I told you to kill vampire. It's like she doesn't even fucking remember her name.
Yeah. Ebony Dementia or Dimension or Dementia. Ebony, Ebony, Ebony. What are the other fucking spellings that she throws in? It is gloriously bad.
Night Star, that was her name. And it's funny too, is you just type in Starfire's daughter, and the comics Wikipedia comes up for Mari Grayson, Night Star. But you scroll down to images and you see all of this I Am Not Starfire bullshit. And it's just like, no, this is not replacing canon, people. Night Star is number one. And will always be.
Yep. But
I mean, until I figure out the SEO better.
This is the thing that drives me crazy, because there's stories that are shit from the get-go. There's stories that had a good idea and then were just shittily applied. There's stories that somehow, despite being shit from the get-go, they made something functional out of them. And then there's stories that are gold from the beginning and they're made into gold.
Mm-hmm.
And for some fucking reason, people want to make remakes of started gold, continued to be gold, rather than looking at the ones that were gold and then done shittily, or the ones that, if you really fucking retooled them, they could potentially work.
See, that's the thing, man. I've like said this to Shady. Like we've had conversations about this. I could write a good Miss Marvel comic. I can write a good Kamala Khan comic.
Mm-hmm.
Give me the money, Marvel. I'll make you actual money on your comic book that seems to fail every single fucking time. But since it's the pet project of Sana Amanat, you keep rebooting it to failure after failure after failure. I could write a good comic.
Mm-hmm.
Do.
Mana mana.
Yeah.
just waiting for an opening.
And say yeah, Sana Amanat. Mana mana. Do. But like, you know, it's the same thing with America. But I think that America, they finally actually wrote a good story, but I don't think it's sold well.
Mm-hmm. Because at this point, it's damn near just so poison that people don't even touch it.
Well, people don't touch it because, like, number one, America's never been that popular of a character, regardless of how many fucking Times articles you sit there and say, the first gay Latina superhero.
That's what I'm saying. It's poison.
Yeah.
It started out poison. People realized it was poison. So now, even though this is no longer poison, they're going, no, I've fucking seen this. It's like...
That girl is poison.
It's like if
Dude, you were
someone
saying it so
developed-
many times you had to fucking put the song out there. At
It's
some
like-
point.
It's like if someone took anthrax and they came up with a way of making it beneficial, and it just went, yeah, this is Anthrax 2. Do you want to get Anthrax 2? No.
American Boogaloo.
No, I don't want Anthrax 2, because Anthrax is shit. I'm assuming Anthrax 2 is also shit and deadly as hell. No, I do not. And that's what they've been doing with a lot of these.
I think it's so funny too. Like, okay, all right. This is the writers and artists on the New America book, right? Vasquez, Gomez, and Albertov. I think that they were going out of their way to hire, you know, Latin people to write and make this comic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yet, what is the very first thing they do? Shit on Gabby Rivera.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, they couldn't help themselves, huh?
No, but they made it a good comic.
Oh, there you go.
I'm trying. Here we go. Hold on. I'm looking at the reviews on Amazon for Made in America. I kind of want to see what some of these say here. This is one of the best written and graphically designed comic books ever written. As a Greek Latina, I don't care, like that qualifies your opinion. It was impactful for me to see a Latina superhero. America Chavez is truly incredible. Thank you for everyone involved in making her story.
Yeah.
That was fucking, yeah. To preface it, I bought this from Thrift Books.
Nice.
It was out of stock at the time on Amazon. This mini was rather fun, and I can't admit that I bought it to support it after the hate the artist got on Twitter. The character was largely meh to me, but how much hate he got on the young actress who was playing the character because she doesn't have the right shade of skin or preferences she got shit on that for that?
Oh, yeah. There were a bunch of social justice people that were pissed off at the actress that they had in the what was it? Doctor Strange movie.
Doctor Strange, yeah. Now, all that out of the way, the good of the series is Kalindra Vasquez. She wrote a new origin story that has more thought into it, and breaks down the ridiculousness original origin, showing how bad it was. I imagine it was done to make the character more accessible and be able to be understood for those who watch Doctor Strange 2, but it doesn't mean that she didn't do a great job. I agree. Carlos Gomez has done beautiful work, and if he wasn't afraid to make women look like females, oh my god, this shitlord, I can't believe him. Anyway, compared to how many recent Marvel characters cite how Carol Danvers went from Miss Marvel to Butch Captain Marvel to now she is the Hulk, even though she has returned to her old design, thankfully. All of the discourse he got made me want to support him, and he does well, so I'm glad to spend the money and hope he stays making appealing characters. The story is all right, not great, but workable. This needs more issues, more of a solid run than possibly just a short. It's one of the few recent comics to not that is not a collected cardcover omnibus that has that I bought because of the recent Marvel DC have been so lackluster. I got another one here. Why do some writers feel like they must rewrite characters, changing their background and even family? Lazy writing, common, or editorial pressure? America's past was retconned, but why? I am guessing it came. I'm guessing it came from the hope of reviving the character, but also hoping that they making her life political and diverse will somehow make money. I have enjoyed America in the past, and the story in general is fun. While the art is excellent, there is a sense of cashing in on politics and themes on social media. This never really works. Stick to fiction, folks. Are you reading the same book I am here, dude?
Yeah. What the?
This book was less political than fucking Gabby Rivera's fucking.
Hold on. Did we just find Gabby Rivera's alt account?
Yeah, maybe.
But,
oh my god.
It's
see all reviews.
It's infuriating how there's so many really good stories, and when they take a good story, they'll just fuck it up. Like, I've talked about how many times the Wheel of Time series pisses me off because they got every single character wrong. They took... So, the bulk of the main group is supposed to come from this one extremely remote village in the far-flung border region of this one kingdom. So why is it that the main group of like 5 has 5 different racial makeups?
I don't know. Let's put it this way. I've not been able to get through the books. I find the prose for Wheel of Time to be very dry. And
I can understand if it's not for you, because not every book is for every person. I found the story
the narrators.
Really good.
The narrators on Audible are also really bad.
I haven't listened to the Audible narrators, but I can understand that. But the characters, if you like it, goddamn, the characters are fantastic, and they describe the characters in exquisite detail. Robert Jordan made it so that you have a clear picture of Perrin Aberoi in your head, because when he's describing Perrin Aberoi, and he's describing how it looks like steel cables were dancing underneath the flesh of his forearms. That gives you a very fucking clear image that this dude is fucking ripped when it comes to his forearms.
I think it's weird because, like, I can pick and choose certain, like, aspects of the writing from Robert Jordan, and I think he's very, very good and at imagery and evocative sort of descriptions and stuff like that. And then at other times, I think it's just so dry. It's almost like reading Tolkien, which is another one. I don't really like Tolkien either.
That's the thing. Both Jordan and Tolkien are really world building, and especially the first couple books of The Wheel of Time, it is building the world. It is lovingly crafting the world.
I'll say this:
by fucking mile.
The opening of The Wheel of Time, was it Eye of the World? Yep. The whole beginning chapter was really, really good.
Yep.
And then it's like, you're going at 80 miles an hour, all of a sudden to hit a brick wall and everything just drops off and you're just kind of left meandering for a while, all confused, and you've got a head wound. That's
the thing.
that's my experience with the Wheel of Time so far.
With Robert Jordan, the way that he wrote, like I said, it is lovingly world building. So you end up with that start, which was fairly high pace or fast paced, and there was tension and action. Then you end up with world building, which is very thorough but slow. Then you have a gradual ramp up, but it's still weaving in world building. So that gradual ramp up is gradual, as I said. But then at the end, it is this holy shit, oh god damn it, and it is action. And if you like lively writing, then yeah, Robert Jordan probably isn't for you, because you'll like the fast-paced bits, because he does those extremely well, but he has a lot of world building, which
I've been told
to be slow.
I've been told things about like the story and like characters and like, you know, the world and stuff like that. It does sound appealing to me, but at the same time, it's just like, can I get the Cliff Notes for some of these parts? just move on.
Which is why I was really hoping that the series was going to be good.
Yeah.
Because if the series was good, that would have been that. It would have had the world building visually, which the book can't do. If the book could have done the world building visually, the speed would have been entirely different. The pacing would have been entirely different. Because you don't need to describe the sprawling city and how the buildings are erected upon this hill and how that has some sort of significance. You can just tell by looking at the fucking thing.
Yeah. No words needed. Just an image is fine.
Yep.
The one author I can compare Robert Jordan to and show like the kind of authors that I like in terms of that kind of stuff is Michael Moorcock. He was I knew it was coming. He's extremely talented in progressing the story while also giving, you know, evocative prose and being very, very verbose with his descriptions. There's a reason why his work is just as prolific as Conan the Barbarian, but almost no one knows.
Yep. Oh, and that's also one of the things that I need to mention about Robert Jordan in his defense. Part of the reason why the first book especially has that slow pace is because, like I said, these people are from a far-flung reach of this one kingdom.
Podunk little town.
They don't know
festival.
a fucking thing.
Yeah.
And you're kind of learning shit as they're learning shit. So as the story goes and as they come more into themselves and they get more comfortable and less, oh my god, this place is so fucking huge, the pace picks up drastically.
I've heard that the comic, unfortunately for Wheel of Time, is just not very good. I bought the trade paperback for a buddy of mine because it's like his favorite book series.
Yep.
So for Christmas one year, I got him the trade paperback of the Wheel of Time, at least the beginning of the Wheel of Time. And I've heard the comic has like mixed reactions. People that like the comic, some of them are, I don't know, let down by the abbreviation of some of that kind of stuff. But it's all like, you know, this is a visual medium. You know, you've got so many pages to tell a story in both dialogue and picture. So it's like, can you really get down on it for that? I mean, I'm not at all offended by them omitting fucking Tom Bombadil out of the fucking Lord of the Rings movies. Thank God.
There's some things that can be dropped for the sake of adaptation. There's some things that shouldn't be. And the Lord of the Rings did a very good job at determining which was which.
Yeah.
But I would have gladly paid extra for some Bombadil footage.
No! He's an annoying character.
Adam was jonesing for his bombadillage.
Look,
So
we could have finally debunked this Sasquatch fucking character.
but yeah,
Have him on film, but no.
it just drives me crazy because the story is fantastic. Like I said, I can understand if it's not your sort of story. That's perfectly fine. I can understand if the pacing was
It's the sort of thing I guarantee you, like after I get past the first book, I'll be invested and want to continue. But it's just a slog for me.
Yeah, and I absolutely understand that. That's kind of like one of the other series that I highly recommend, but does have a bit of slog to it, is the Black Company series by Glenn Cook.
Okay.
And part of the reason why I absolutely love the series is the premise of it. You're reading the records of the archivist of a mercenary company.
Mm-hmm.
So as you're reading, you start off with one archivist, Croker. Everyone in the company assumes a different name when they enter the company, because most of them are the sort of people that you would expect to join a mercenary company. People that they have done fucked up shit elsewhere and they're trying to hide or at least be somewhere safe. So what they do is they join a mercenary company that has such a goddamn intimidating reputation that people normally decide not to fuck with them.
Mm-hmm.
So you start off with Croker, who's the company doc and the company archivist. And his writing is very clinical when it comes down to it, because he's the company doctor. It is very much, we fought this battle, this is what happened, these are the people that got injured, here's their injuries, these are the people that died. Then we went to this location. We met with so-and-so, we negotiated this was the battle, these are the people that got injured, these are the people that died. And it's very much that you're getting a story from someone who's used to just, these are the bones that are needed, here's the absolute essence.
Yeah, but see, I find it hard to believe that they'd let the doctor be the archivist, because their handwriting is horrible. How are you supposed to read that shit?
The doctor was one of the few people that could actually write.
It would be entirely different if it was a cop.
So
all of his fives would look like sixes.
Nice. But yeah, that was the first archivist that you start with. And as he gets more used to it, because also when you first start the Black Company series, he's just taken over the archivist position like a month or two ago. So he's not exactly comfortable being the archivist yet. And you can tell that from his writing. And like I said, it's very, we went here, we did this, these are the people that injured, these are the people that died. Boom, done. We went here, we did this. And it was just...
I could get behind some stories that that have subtext and stuff like that for character building. My problem is that when pretentious people see subtext, they see a reason and way that they can, fill in the gaps with whatever they want.
Oh, the thing that I loved,
whether or not that's the original author's intention.
The thing that I loved about the series, though, is, like I said, it is written from the point of view of the archivist. So when Croker's no longer the archivist, someone else is the archivist. And the style of writing changes.
It rapidly changes, yeah.
Immediately. And you can tell that it changes immediately. So you go from reading a chapter that was done by Croker to your next chapter, you're going, who the fuck is writing this? Up until they effectively say, and of course I was there, acting company archivist, so-and-so. And you're going, oh, son of a bitch. Okay, this is who's doing that. And then it'll be them for a while. And then you'll reach a chapter where you're just reading them and Croker's writing again. And you can tell immediately Croker's writing without Croker saying that Croker's writing, because you recognize his writing. And then it'll be someone else, and then it'll be someone else, and then it'll be one of the other archivists, and you'll immediately know which archivist it was based on the style of writing. And that was what really hooked me. When I was reading the first book, the story was fascinating. The way it was written was slightly jarring to me, because it's this dark fantasy that is written extremely clinical, because again, it's a company doctor. And then the moment that it's no longer the doctor, everything changes. And the fact that the author was able to write that well, that while he's writing the same fucking story, he's able to put himself into different mindsets to completely change his writing.
It reminds me of a project that I did for, my junior year of high school. One of the things that we had to do was we did like a writing from the perspective of someone and, in the past sort of thing. That was the U.S. history assignment. I loved it because all of these other people.
How many slurs did you use, Quiz?
None. Just give me a sec. I'll give you my description of it. So the premise was that like all these other people, they did like the cookie cutter sort of story sort of thing. They did like maybe one or two, letters or something like that describing events that happened. Whereas me, I went straight up like historical fiction. And what I did is I had 3 letters written from a Union soldier that had traveled the battlefields, from the northwestern front out to Gettysburg, and then died at Gettysburg. And then the 4th letter was written by a Confederate soldier that had found the unmailed letters of the 3 previous unmailed letters, and offered his condolences to the dead Union soldier's family.
Nice.
And I remember when I wrote that, I didn't go through like all the effort, because like all the other kids in the class, they like weathered the paper, made it look old, and like tried to do all this kind of shit. I just fucking typed it up on computer paper and just handed it in. My teacher called my mother and asked if I plagiarized it.
Nice.
Because he was convinced that someone had written that for money.
Yep. Very nice. But yeah, that
just tells me that I need to get into a career in writing.
Oh yeah, and that was the thing that I found absolutely fascinating about the Black Company. The moment that first switch happened, there was no way in hell I was going to set down the books, because that takes some fucking writing chops to manage that, especially since one of the other things that some of the characters had fairly low education. Like Croker, despite being the doctor, he was trained to be a doctor after joining the company, because he didn't throw up every time that he was cutting into someone. And then it was the previous company doctor who taught him how to write. So he wasn't the most comfortable with his writing, and he didn't have the greatest vocabulary.
Not the most eloquent.
Yeah, he got better as he went, because again, he got more comfortable and he was getting promoted and having to learn more and more shit. And there are a couple times where it was like, someone used this word. I like it. I think I'm going to use this word. Effectively was in one of the sections. And some of the archivists were in similar situations where they weren't the most eloquent. There was one archivist who was a ridiculously powerful and ancient being that ended up the company archivist. And when she's writing, it is goddamn beautiful. And it is flowing. She uses a interesting diction for it. which perfectly fits that character, being what that character was. And it's so few times that you end up with that. Another author who manages to do that to a fantastic degree is... Have you read anything by Sanderson?
Sanderson. Full name?
Brandon Sanderson.
Brandon Sanderson. It's not coming to mind right away.
Stormlight Archive, Mistborn, Elantris, the Alcatraz Smedry series.
No. I think I've probably seen him, but not read anything of him.
So he has his main line series is his mainline series are mostly part of the meta series of the Cosmere. So he has the Mistborn series, which is part of the Cosmere. He has the Stormlight Archive, part of the Cosmere. The Warbreaker series, part of the Cosmere. The Elantris series, part of the Cosmere. And several others.
Mm-hmm.
White Sands is another one of his series, which is a comic book series, which is part of the Cosmere as well. And most of those...
Now that you said he's done comics, maybe that's where I've seen him. Hang on. What was his name again?
Brandon Sanderson.
Brandon Sanderson. Oh, it helped actually.
But with most of those stories, he switches perspective a hell of a lot. And each of the characters feels very different when they're talking. Just like the Archivist change, which I really liked, and it helps build the world and make it feel more real.
Graphic novels, White Sands.
So, yep. I think that's the name of the series. Let me quickly double check.
Oh, he continued Wheel of Time after Robert Jordan's death.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the one who finished it out. He was chosen by Jordan and Jordan's wife because Jordan knew that he was dying. So he took a shit ton of notes of where he wanted the story to go. But he knew that he wouldn't make it in time. So he and his wife decided on Sanderson to be the one to finish out the series. So when he did die, all of his notes were passed to Sanderson, and Sanderson read through them and put together what he could.
Gotcha. So he wrote one other comic published by Vault Comics called Dark One.
Ah.
The art.
Yeah, it is. Cool. White Sand is the comic series that's in the Cosmere. I just needed to double check that because I was going, I think that's the right name. And the premise of that is if you read any series within it, you get all the information that you need for that series. Which, fucking fantastic. But if you read the Stormlight Archive, let's say, and then you start reading Mistborn. Well, the moment that you start reading Mistborn, some parts that you thought made sense in the Stormlight Archive now suddenly really click.
Mm.
And
story told multiple parts.
You'll notice things in the Mistborn series that if you had read the Mistborn as a standalone, would have made sense to your mind, but then you realize that you would have been wrong, except for the fact that you had read the Stormlight Archive, and suddenly that bit of information now clicks into place. And the more series that you read within the Cosmere, the fuller the picture you get of the Cosmere. Which is really fucking cool in my mind.
Apparently the Dark One is going to get adapted to television.
Oh, nice. But yeah, he has a bunch of different series. He's an insanely prolific writer. And really quality stuff, in my opinion. And shit, I just realized what time it is.
Yes.
Yeah, it's getting kind of.
Shall we go around the horn for parting words?
I think we should first make sure Adam's still conscious.
With us?
Adam, are you alive?
Yeah, are you kidding me? I'm playing fucking Jackie Chan versus Jackie Chan.
You're playing against Terry, or are you playing by yourself?
Playing by mice.
Jackie Chan versus Jackie Chan? Which one of you's pulling out the ladder first?
Oh, well, actually, you know what? I wish they had Rumble in the Bronx, Jackie Chan, or what's that? Fast food Jackie Chan, or food cart.
Oh, fuck that, man. I want Rush Hour Jackie Chan.
Rush Hour Jackie Chan. Shit, yeah.
Chris Tucker just runs in and shoots whoever's fighting.
Rush Hour, High Noon,
You mean Shanghai Noon?
Shanghai Noon, yeah.
He
John Wayne, that's a terrible name.
in this game
Yep.
he doesn't die. It's he gets up and he goes, "Hey, that was a good game."
My
Nice.
insurance premiums just went up.
This is a great
Congratulations.
this is a great arcade game. But I'm still alive.
Sure.
I was just listening. You guys had a wonderful conversation, and I didn't really have a means to an end to it. Sad to say, so maybe next time. But I was alive the whole time. I wasn't. Fucking...
That's always better than the alternative.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Death.
Yeah. Being dead, even for part of it, that sucks.
Or asleep, gotta go with that. But yeah,
You ain't donkey, so it's fine.
Everybody's afraid to everybody's afraid to die, but nobody's afraid to go to sleep.
nah, I don't fear
Everyone asks how you died, but never asks how are you dying.
Nice. So, shall we go around the horn for parting words?
death. Sure.
Who wants to go first? Shall we go in?
I'm only at 15% battery.
Okay, then in that case,
Wrap
let's
that
go in
shit
Inquisitor
up, Pete.
first.
Wrap that shit up.
Inquisitor,
That's
you go first then.
That's my final words. Wrap that shit up, Pete.
Copy that. Then we'll go inverse introduction order. Adam.
Thanks for inviting me. Love you all. God bless. And yeah, I pray for y'all.
Camel.
Yeah, I thought about being shitty and stealing yours just to see what you would do, but
Wouldn't be the first
You
time.
can if you want.
Wouldn't be the first time.
no. Be excellent to each other.
And party on, dudes.
Bill and Ted quote. Very nice.
Had to do something different.
I'm slightly disappointed because you said that, and I'm sitting here with my little notebook that things, I have a notebook of things that kind of catch in my mind. I'll write it down just so I make sure that I remember.
You're writing
it
down
later.
Bill and Ted right now? Is that it?
No, I'm not writing down Bill and Ted right now. But I think rather than using my standard, I will use one of the ones that I heard recently that I rather fucking liked, which is a quote from Plutarch. I have no need of friends who change as I change or nod as I nod. After all, my shadow does that far better.
I like it.
Yeah, same here. When I heard that quote, I went, I need that. I'm going to keep that. That's a fucking good quote. But with that, have a good night, all. The zoo is closed.
Night,
No.
everybody.
Night.
And now to wait for this to actually click through.